Good evening, and welcome to Creative Broadcasting, the station of unlimited possibilities, presents Creating Your Seat at the Table with your host, Ashley Little, as she welcomes her guest to the table.
Welcome to Creating Your Seat at the Table. I am your host, Ashley Little. A little bit about myself: corporate professional by day, entrepreneur by night, two-time best-selling author, CEO and founder of Ashley Little Enterprises, LLC, owner and creator of Creative Broadcasting, and co-founder and owner of Talk Radio and TV Network, LLP. Tonight we have a special guest by the name of Cheryl Bailey. A little bit about Cheryl. While attempting to face her own fears, Cheryl Bailey has created a group in which she helps people face their fears and checks things off their bucket list. In addition, she runs her own accounting and bookkeeping consulting service for medium and corporate clients. Welcome to the table, Cheryl Bailey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. So, Cheryl, let's talk more about your entrepreneur journey.
Okay. How far you want me to go back? Like, do you want the short version or the long version?
You can tell us the long version. Let's hear about the Cheryl Bailey. Let's hear your story. Yes.
Basically, I have known since I was about 10 years old that I wanted to work for myself. And so I have always been on this path that I wanted to be an accountant, providing bookkeeping services to small businesses. Mm-hmm. And so early on, I had it in my mind that I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to start my own firm and provide these services. And then later on, reality kicked in when I became a mom, and I realized that I needed to get out there and make more money, and I just wasn't going to do it with a regular position in accounting. So I went back to school, and I got a dual degree at Marymount University, a dual degree in accounting and finance. And from there, I started working at a CPA firm. And I was at the CPA firm for almost 4 years. And
awesome.
Yep, I was at the firm for almost 4 years. And after leaving the firm, I decided to go ahead and do my own thing. And so basically the work that I was doing at the firm, I started doing independently and doing it for myself under my own business, Bailey's Accounting Services.
Amazing. So you took what you learned from corporate America, you learned how to do it, and then you went off and branched off into your own business, correct?
That is correct. And I've been doing it this year will be, 20 years in small business accounting services, and I have been on my own since 2003.
So can you share with listeners why it's important, why they're in corporate America and that they're doing entrepreneur by night? Can you please explain to them more about why it's important, to embrace, being in corporate America and owning your own business, but, until you're ready to make that full-time move? Why is that important to be able to learn what you need to learn while you're there?
Well, for me, I just kind of jumped out there, and I would never encourage anyone to do that. I think it's important to plan. I am a big proponent of working and building your business at the same time, because the things that most small business owners don't think about is self-employment tax or those estimated tax payments. And when you work a job in corporate, you can increase your withholdings, which can help you fund your business. Your part-time business, it can help you with funding your business as well as your tax priorities and making sure that you're in compliance.
Absolutely. So for listeners that are listening or still doing both, it definitely will help you, like she stated, with your taxes and with funding your business. So embrace it while you're there until you're ready to make that calculated risk of moving over.
That's correct. And increase your withholdings. That you will be surprised when you increase your withholdings. Each pay period you have an extra $200 set aside, for federal, and extra $100. Over time, by the end of the year, you'll be surprised how much you've accumulated, and it will really help you when it comes to the preparation of your tax return.
Love it. So tell us more about your bookkeeping consulting services, Cheryl.
So when I first started, I started out in QuickBooks consulting. And that's really not what I wanted to do. From early on, it was always assisting clients with their bookkeeping needs, and that is really where my love is working with clients and really teaching them the importance of setting up your books properly from day one, not at day 365 when it's time to prepare the tax return. So that's basically what my service does, is I work with clients early enough in the year to get the books organized and ready so that by September we can do some planning, and then by the time you get to the end of the year, you know where you are. Boom, the information is provided to the accountant, and he can prepare the tax return.
Okay, so why is that so important for business owners to do that? Why is it important to do it now instead of waiting to the end of the year? What are some risks that you're going to take if you wait to the end of the year to do it?
Well, one of the things you have to understand is that your financial data tells a story, and you want that story told early enough so that if you need to make the necessary adjustments, you can. And if you're not maintaining your books, you don't know if your business is doing well or is not doing well, where you need to adjust your budget. Are you spending too much in this particular area? You need to get some more income coming in. So it's really crucial for your financial story to go ahead and get your books, spend the time to maintain it on a regular and consistent basis. A lot of times small businesses do not value the services of bookkeeping because they don't understand the importance and the role that it plays. Garbage in is garbage out. So if your books are not maintained, guess what? At the end of the year, you're probably paying more taxes than you need to.
So for all of our listeners, it's very important to maintain a good, your books and get to have your financial data story. Make sure it tells the story, and make sure that you value the services. For everybody that's listening that are thinking about it or need to go ahead and take that next step, that's important to the success of your business because you want to know what your business is making.
That is correct.
So what are some myths behind bookkeeping, Cheryl? What are some myths?
The biggest myth is that the services are not important. Like, I can get to the accountant later. I see it all the time. Whereas, I'm too busy. I don't have time to do it. I'll get to it later. And before you know it, you're swamped and your books are looking a hot mess. So that is one thing, is the whole value in the service. That is one myth. The services are much needed. It is crucial information that is needed by your accountants. I think the other myth is that your information has to be in the cloud. There are many options available. I'm not a big proponent on clients having their data in the cloud. If you want to put your backup there, that's fine. But I'm a firm believer with my clients. Most of my clients, actually all of my clients, use QuickBooks, and we use the desktop version. So things like that. You can maintain your company, using the desktop version. Everything does not have to be in the cloud. Some other myths are women. Women are excellent bookkeepers. They have a great eye for detail. We are great investigators. Men are more big picture, whereas women, we really look at the detail. We're consistent. Men just slap the books together any old kind of way. They don't care. They just have it looking in any kind of way. They just get it in. Whereas women, we actually are going to take the time to do some digging and making sure that things are put in the right category, making sure that, hey, if the phone bill didn't get paid, we're going to actually take that extra step to make sure those kind of things get done. So.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. So it sounds like, we're better at keeping our books than the men from some of the myths that you see. Okay.
Yes.
So,
yes. Most of the time.
Awesome, Cheryl. So what are some strategies you would give to listeners and small business owners who are struggling to find a good one? If they're struggling to find a good accountant or a good bookkeeper, it feels like trying to figure out, because you have to be very trusting of somebody to actually keep your money and make sure everything is right with your business. You got to make sure that person is the right person.
Yes, I agree with you. That's one of the issues with small business is that typically it's the owner and the bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper is handed off with basically most of the functions of, doing the payroll, writing checks, making deposits, going to the bank, and doing all of those functions. And your bookkeeper should never do all of those functions. That's first and foremost. And I also teach my clients that the owner of the business should be the very first person that sees the bank statement. And most of the times what happens is when the mail comes in, the owner gives the mail to the bookkeeper, and that is wrong. Mm-hmm. The bank statement should be opened by the business owner, always. He should be opening it up, or she should be opening it up, looking through it, and then hand it off to the bookkeeper. The other thing is, too, most times people start off and they'll get interns or people who really don't have that experience. And that can cost you in the end. Okay, yeah, it was cheaper starting out. That's what you needed to do to get your business going. But it can cost you more later on down the line. And then you'll be requiring the services of someone like myself to come in and clean it up, to get the books ready at the end of the year. You're not going to be happy with my bill. So those are the things that business owners really need to think about. Segregation of duties. The bookkeeper doesn't have to do everything.
Right.
And shouldn't do everything. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of small business owners make. I've seen it. I've seen where they're like, I don't have time to deal with it. You sign a check. The bookkeeper knows how to forge their signature. They do your payroll. They write your checks. They have them doing too many tasks, and they shouldn't. So.
And I can see how that can cause problems too. If you're not delegating those duties, you don't know what's going on. Then if you don't know what's going on, finger, something goes wrong.
Yeah. And whereas most people think fraud is easy to detect, it's not easy to detect. Because if you have a bookkeeper and you have a lot of transactions going through, and if you're not checking what's going on, and she's writing a check every month to herself for $100, unless you actually paying attention, you don't know that $100 has slid through the door.
Right.
So it's important to know. I always teach the business owner, you should know more about your business than anyone else. Like, I don't even allow clients to come to me and say, well, my accountant handles that. No. I don't even play that game. No, you need to know what's going on. So, yes.
What are some ways they can stay organized to make sure they take the time to do that? Because you're right. Sometimes some people might say they don't have the time, but they need to make the time.
Yeah, they need to make the time. Well, as far as when the mail comes in and they could have the mail separated out, where the owner of the company gets all the checks and deposits and knows what's coming in. If it's, a lot of things are online, they can actually see what's online. He can have the bookkeeper go ahead and prepare the deposit, but I'll always stress, make sure for every piece of paper that goes into your accounting software, you have some sort of source document that you can refer back to. So even though he may have the bookkeeper do some duties, he is still seeing hard copies of what the deposits were for the day. So he may open up the mail, give her the checks to go ahead and prepare the deposits, and she makes a copy of the deposits. And then after the deposit has been made, as part of her package to the owner, when it's time for him to prepare checks and things like that, he can see what deposits were made for the week. And so there are things that you can do as a small business owner to put in place to make sure that things are organized and being done timely and on a regular and consistent basis.
Amazing. So for our listeners, just to make sure you know how to delegate and make sure you're paying attention to what your transactions that are going through and keep yourself organized. That's so important. You should know what's going in and out of your business, you know, and we should all want to know those things and make sure we're alert and we schedule ourselves to make sure we make the time to do that.
Yeah,
so,
I have
Cheryl,
clients where
– go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I have clients where they say, like, every Friday is check day. Like, every Friday, that's the day that they sign checks. So pick a day. Pick a day and say, okay, this is the day that I'm going to sit down and just look over the financial numbers. So
love that.
That works
pick
too.
A day.
Yeah.
Yes,
pick a day.
It does. So let's talk about your amazing group, the Fearless Chicks.
Yes, we are an amazing group. So Fearless Chicks is a social community where we work on facing fears, marking items off our bucket list, and trying new experiences. I'm actually working on facing my own fears. I was looking for support for myself. And through that process, I said, let me see if there's other people out here who want to face their fears. And so that's how I started the group.
So you know, fear is something.
400.
I love that. Fear is something that paralyzes people if you don't handle it, right? If you don't know how to come out of it. So could you talk a little bit more about some ways that people can overcome fear? You know, because that's something that everybody experiences, but the difference is the person that can get themselves out of it and keep moving regardless, rather than the person that, you know, stays down and stays stuck, you know?
Yeah, I'm going to share my personal experience, and that my biggest fear is with heights, escalators. I used to be terrified of riding escalators. For a long time, I was embarrassed to tell people that I had this fear. And so I hid it. I would go to the mall, and, you know, my sister would take the front, my son would take the back. So it was kind of like I knew how to blend in with other people around me to hide the fact that I had this fear, so people didn't know until I actually started working on facing my fears. Then it was like, oh, wow. But it's actually a fear I've been dealing with for a long time, panic attacks. And it started with an adventure where I actually had a panic attack, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I decided to work on facing my fears. And so I learned through my own research that the best way to face a fear is to actually do it. So I started creating adventures. So for me, I had a fear of heights. Indoor rock climbing is one of the best adventures if you have a fear of heights, because it allows you to work on your anxieties and managing your anxieties at a level that works for you, because most walls are about 44 feet. And you don't have to go 44 feet. You can go 10 feet, you can go 5 feet, you can go 20 feet, you can go 30 feet. You can go at a level that works for you. I just say practice and be consistent. So if your budget allows, try to do like once a month, go on a rock climbing adventure, an indoor rock climbing adventure. They have open climb. You can do it with a staff member. Let them know you're working on facing your fear of heights, and they will work with you, and they will teach you some tools that will help you get through the process, and they'll also share with you ways that you can manage your anxieties so that you can complete the climb. The fear never goes away, because fear is a natural protector, so fear never goes away. However, you do learn to manage the anxiety that's associated with the fear.
Okay, awesome. So for anybody that's dealing with fear or any type of fear, I would just tell you to do it scared, do it anyway, because you're not going to know unless you do it, okay? That's the thing about fear. You can't let it paralyze you. You have to step out, face those fears in order to get to your next level and to get to whatever God has for you planned. You got to jump. And sometimes it's scary, but it's part of the process. So, Cheryl, how did you create your seat at the table?
How did I create my seat at the table? I was born to sit at the table. I was raised to sit at the table. My mom said at an early age, can't is not part of your vocabulary. So I just go for it. If someone tells me this opportunity is not for you. I'm going to figure out a way how to go around there and create it myself. And so that's how I was able to create my bookkeeping. That's how I was able to create Fearless Chicks and all the other little projects that I work on.
Love it, love it, love it. Do it scared, do it anyway. So we all have a process on our journey. So what did failure teach you, Cheryl?
Failure taught me never to give up. That's what it taught me. When I was working at the firm, that was the first time that I really had to deal with failure, because in previous positions, I had always done very well in accounting, and that was the first time where I was not successful, or so I thought I wasn't successful. And it was a hard experience for me. It was a great learning experience in the end, but it was not an easy adventure, and I just stayed with it, and I didn't let it stop me. I didn't let someone else control my destiny. It was like I knew that this is what I wanted to do, and I did whatever I needed to do to make sure that I was doing it. And so that's important, that failures are part of the process, but don't let it define you. Don't let other people tell you what you can and cannot do. I think a great leader is someone who knows how to bring out the best in individuals. And so when a leader is telling you you can't do something, that's not someone you want to work with.
Right. I agree. And, true success is when you're preaching back and you're pulling forward and you're helping somebody else get there. That's when you're successful. So I love that, which leads to my next question. What did success teach you?
Success taught me, it's amazing, because I'm actually just went through that whole experience of being able to, because when I first started out, I wasn't able to help others. And now I'm in the position where I can. Doesn't necessarily mean big or small, but I can. I actually recently started working with a videographer, and and working with him, he shared some things, and I told him, I was like, if there's anything that I can do to help you so that you can continue doing what you need to do to provide the services to me, I'm here for you. So it's just a great feeling to be at that point where I can reach back and help someone else.
Love that. So what can we expect from Cheryl Bailey the rest of 2019? We're in quarter 2. So what can we expect from you the rest of the year?
Well, the rest of the year I plan on working very hard to get Fearless Chicks to, at a minimum, 1,000 members. That's my goal. Right now we are at 426, and I know we're going to get to the 1,000. I know that. And I also have some other great things that I have lined up. And so I hope to bring those items to the forefront as well.
Awesome. Well, I want to commend you for the great things that you have in store for the rest of 2019, and can't wait to see what God is going to do in your life and through your journey. So will you please tell the listening audience how they can follow you and contact you?
Okay, you can follow me on Instagram at Fearless Chicks, and that's with the X at the end, CHIX. I'm also on Facebook. We also have a group on Facebook, and you can also find my personal page on Facebook under Cheryl Bailey.
Awesome. So please follow her and check out Fearless Chicks. So, Cheryl, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to come on the show today, and I wish you many, many blessings on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Thank you. I would like to give a special thanks to my mentors, Tammy Collins Marquis and John Schamberger. I would also like to give a special thanks to Dr. Larry White Sr. and author Kimberly McLemore. You all may follow me on Facebook at Ashley Little and on Instagram at _Ashley Little. And I would like to wish my partner and the co-founder of Talk Radio and TV Network a happy birthday to author Kimberly McLemore. Thank you.
Thank Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Creating Your Seat at the Table, where Ashley speaks with corporate professionals, celebrities, entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers who are transitioning or have transitioned to entrepreneurship.